Hi there, this is Matt at State of Flux here with my thoughts on Comicon 2024. This is actually a request video from Quan. If you're watching out there, thank you for making this request. I'm happy to do it. I actually followed Comicon this year for the first time in kind of a while. They haven't really had a lot of huge announcements in the past couple of years, and this one had quite a few that I was really keen and interested to talk about anyway, so thank you for the excuse. Let's get into it right off the bat. The big presence this year was Marvel. They haven't had a meaningful presence since, I think it was 2019 when they made the announcement of all the Phase 4 and 5 movies. This year they came talking about sort of like their rebranding, not necessarily rebranding in the traditional sense, but going back to a return to form. They announced the return of the Russo brothers to direct Avengers 5 and 6. And with that came the announcement of Dr. Doom, the new big bad, taking the place of Kang the Conqueror, which I felt like that storyline with Kang, while working in the comics and the movies, was muddled, to say the least. So I'm completely fine pivoting away from Kang. They made the announcement of Dr. Doom. That makes perfect sense, but that announcement came with the surprise, shocking revelation that Robert Downey Jr. would be playing Doom. Now, this has quite a bit of a stir online. Some people are fully embracing it, some people are fully rejecting it, and I'm somewhere kind of in between, because if I'm being real and honest with myself, I never once would have thought to cast Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. But that's because I wouldn't have thought to do it. I wouldn't have thought him an eligible player to play this character. I was more in the vein of Henry Cavill would make a good Dr. Doom. The one that my dream casting would have been a little bit of an older Doom, but I would have wanted Timothy Olyphant. Timothy Olyphant has this gravitas about him where when he wants to play a villain, look at Scream 2, look at Live Free or Die Hard, he is a fantastic villain. But he also has this likable nature about him, and he also has this quality of you looking up to him when he is playing more of a serious kind of character. And I think he would have been the perfect choice. That said, Robert Downey Jr. is by no means a bad choice. He's just an unusual choice because, of the Tony Stark of it all. But that being said, I think he is a great actor, and we haven't seen him go full villain in ages. Like last time he was just a straight up super kind of villain was in the sequel to The Fugitive nobody remembers, called U.S. Marshals. And he was pretty great in that otherwise lackluster movie. I am on board with Robert Downey Jr. Is he the best choice? Probably not. I named two people that I think are really good. I've also heard thrown about a couple different voices. Cillian Murphy baffles me. There seems to be a strong internet sensation that Cillian Murphy should play this character. He's far too, just way too scrawny. And I don't see that working personally. I think Cillian Murphy's a phenomenal actor, but I just don't see him as Dr. Doom at all. He actually would have been a really good Reed Richards. That being said, I've also heard Javier Bardem. He's a good villain in times past, so I could be on board with him. The other one that I've heard bandied about is Alexander Skarsgård, and well, I like the Skarsgårds. He hasn't played a compelling villain. He's played villains plenty of times in the past, but even Randall Flagg, who's one of the most compelling villains in literature, he played it so one note that I'd be afraid that's what he would do for Dr. Doom. So I don't want that. I want a textured performance. I want a performance layered in gravitas. I think Robert Downey Jr. could and will do that. That said, you also get into this question, is he actually Victor Von Doom, or is he a variant of Tony Stark? Minor spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine. You have the notion of this anchor point character who anchors a timeline, somebody so important that when they are no longer there, the timeline withers and dies. And one could argue that Robert Downey Jr.'s departure from the MCU is the anchor point moment that that this franchise has kind of dwindled on. This is like a reclamation of this, that if they do have him be a variant of Tony Stark. And that's an interesting notion. We haven't seen Tony Stark as the full villain. He is clearly the villain of Age of Ultron, though a lot of people see Ultron as the main threat. Tony Stark's the bad guy. He's just the face of the movie. Tony Stark's the bad guy, but we haven't seen him go full villain. And Tony Stark does go full villain kind of often in the more recent adaptations of the comics. So I'm on board from this standpoint. That being said, if we're going to have Victor Von Doom, I want it to be the real Victor Von Doom. So they really have to sell me on this. But I can also see where Marvel might pivot away from doing a Victor Von Doom. They've done it 3 times in the past, 4 if you count the non-released live-action Fantastic Four movie. Doctor Doom's the villain of all of them, and he's always just kind of a one-note character and the least compelling element of the movie that he is in every single time. Which is shocking, because he's one of the most important comic book villains, full stop. So, I would like to see Robert Downey Jr.'s, if they're going to do the variant thing, which I think is probably likely, to both pull into this anchor point character thing from Deadpool and Wolverine, I also think that it fits in thematically with what Infinity War and Endgame were saying, which is you can't trade lives, and that's exactly what Tony Stark did. And so we can see what happens, and it can be an excuse for why everything is spinning out of control in the MCU, and it's going to be a really savvy and smart way of reclaiming all of it by saying all the mess that happened since Endgame was by design. Obviously that wasn't so. They had plans and they had to pivot away from them, but this is kind of a smart way to dive back in. So that's kind of where I land on the Downey. It's we'll wait and see. If this is executed well, this could be a magnificent move. Is it a little disappointing? Maybe, and we'll see when we get there. You have to remember, Iron Man is nothing like the character that we really saw in the first Iron Man movie. Robert Downey Jr. brought so much to that, so much so that since that time, the comics have been rewritten to write Iron Man as if it's written for Robert Downey Jr. He took a claim over that character, and maybe we can get something like that from Doom in this with the exceptional work that Downey puts out. So I'm waiting to see before I throw in the towel and rage out. Am I disappointed? As I say, a little bit, but am I intrigued? Absolutely. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on, Marvel also had the only other thing that I really care to talk about Marvel side is Fantastic Four. Now they didn't release a trailer publicly, but enough people released it online through like snappy chat videos and the Tickety Talk. And so I saw the trailer, assuming what I saw was real, and it certainly looked as if it was. I am really, really compelled by this movie. The Fantastic Four trailer looks like everything that the Fantastic Four movie should. It looks like it was made in the 60s. It has this kind of... If you're a fan of early stage Godzilla movies where they had like weird sci-fi elements mixed in with the Godzilla, it definitely looks like that. And I cannot think of any higher praise for this first family of Marvel, because they've never embraced that aspect of it. And like they've tried to make it really grounded in the previous attempt with Fantastic, and the other 2 Tim Story movies they are what they are. There's qualities, there's negatives, but none of them really owned the Fantastic Four. This looks like The Incredibles, and that's a good thing, because The Incredibles was hearkening onto that, and has this very 60s vibe. All of this meshes perfectly well. I'm curious to see what the characters actually act like. I'm still not 100% sold on Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. I think she has too much too much strength about her visually, and I feel like Sue Storm should. This is a woman who's, when she's hit, internalizes everything and becomes invisible. She should be a little meeker. I would have personally cast Jodie Comer. I think she would have been a great choice to play Sue Storm, somebody who imbues this strength but doesn't visually show that in her exterior. And it's also a character that is just constantly putting shields up, and this is manifested through her powers, but this is also something that you read through her character. So I think Jodie Comer would have been a much better choice. We'll see what Vanessa Kirby does. She's a good actress. So anyway, moving on, I'm a really big fan of the Fantastic Four. I think First Steps is the name of the movie, and it sounds like it's taking place in a pocket universe that has its own continuity that is going to splinter into our universes. I'm all on board. All of this looks and sounds great. I'm so incredibly there. Moving on to Revenge of the Smith. Right after the Marvel panel was Kevin Smith's panel in Hall H, and from that came two things. One is a movie that I was very much looking forward to. I'm a fan of Kevin Smith's work, but watching the trailer for the 4:30 movie, which is his movie coming out, I believe, in September, this is the best looking thing Kevin Smith has done in literally decades. I cannot stress to you how fun this movie looks. It looks like it's going to be irreverent. It does feel like a movie of the 80s, or how people acted in the 80s. I cannot stress how excited I am for it. I also love when Kevin Smith embraces his sort of romantic side. And I felt like that was kind of absent from Clerks 3. It was one of the better aspects of Clerks 2 and what makes Zack and Miri work. This is kind of a return to form in that sense. And this is the first time I've been super excited for a Kevin Smith movie based solely on the trailer and not the name attached to the trailer. I would watch this movie independent of if I was a Kevin Smith fan. It looks that good. This is actually now the most most anticipated movie I have for the rest of the year. He also announced a third Jay and Silent Bob solo effort called Jay and Silent Bob Store Wars, where Jay and Silent Bob open their business and there's a conflicting store. It sounds like the first episode of the Clerks cartoon with Quick Stop and Quicker Stop, but I love the pun play on Store Wars, Star Wars, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Empire Strikes Back. It's all fun. I'm down. More Jay and Silent Bob. I'm there for it. But sincerely, check out the trailer to the 4:30 movie. I'll leave it in the description area down below as well. Speaking of trailers, there was a trailer that dropped for Transformers 1. I am not a Transformers fan. I do not care. I've seen 5 of the 7 live-action movies, the only one of which that I found even passable was Bumblebee. All the other ones made me want to open a vein. And I've seen the old animated one from like 1986 or whatever, and it's absolutely okay. That said, this trailer looks really kind of cool, and my daughter's really excited to see it, and I'm like, you know what, I will take you to a Transformers movie. I won't open any veins, hopefully. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for Transformers 1, and also Chris Hemsworth doing the voice of Optimus Prime, he really nails it. He does a great job. Moving on to another trailer that impressed me was the trailer for The Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2 has a trailer. It's dropping later in, I think, the month of August. This show looks fantastic. However, I will say that the trailer to the Season 1 also looked good. This looks way better than anything Season 1 had to offer. But I still haven't made it all the way through Season 1. I've tried twice. I watched the pilot the day it aired, and I was interested. And then I watched the first 5 minutes of episode 2, and I couldn't get any further. I picked it up again at the beginning of this year with the hopes of doing like a Lord of the Rings retrospective of the entire series before season 2 of this was to debut, and I got 4 episodes in, and I could go no further. That show is just like, It's not bad, it is the definition of dull. I felt like, speaking of Kevin Smith, his description of watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I felt like that, watching the Rings of Power Season 1. Beautifully shot, well acted, don't care. So we'll see if I watch Season 2. I think I'll wait for reviews and whatnot, but you might have that to look forward to, or if you want my reviews for Season 1, really just let me know in the comments and I can trek through it. Speaking of trek, I was so excited in anticipation for the trailer release of Section 31, the Star Trek movie that is going to debut exclusively on Paramount Plus, and there's a reason for that, because this movie looks like absolute fucking dog shit. I cannot express how horrible this trailer was. Never in my life have I seen something for Star Trek and thought, this, I know, is going to be the worst thing I watch this year. Like, it looks so bad. It doesn't look like Star Trek. It looks like it's trying to be David Ayer's Suicide Squad, of all things. Like, if you're going to riff on some kind of comic booky thing, why go with the David Ayer Suicide Squad? Why not go with at least James Gunn's Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy? But why is it looking like this anyway? It's fucking Star Trek. I am a fan. Look, shirt. This pains me. I will watch it. I promise I will watch it, and I will give it a fair shot. But fuck beans, man. This looks horrendous. I will also link the trailer to this down below. Watch for yourself and try not to cry. DC had a couple things that they talked about. They did their Creature Commandos. I haven't really followed that very much. I'm kind of interested, but only loosely so. They debuted the new DC logo, which is that of the DC logo of the comics of the 70s, and I thought that was really kind of cool. I'm kind of excited for that. But if memory serves, that's also with James Gunn's Suicide Squad had that logo. So, or no, it wasn't that. You know, it was Peacemaker. Anyway, I like that. That tickled me. They had the preview that we've all seen for the Penguin season 1 of the TV show. Looks fantastic. Colin Farrell's amazing, and Colin Farrell was announced and confirmed for The Batman Part 2, a movie I'm incredibly looking forward to. The Batman is my favorite Batman movie, and one of the reasons that is because Colin Farrell is so effing good. I can't wait to see more of him in this TV show and this forthcoming movie. The last thing I want to talk about is Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus had a panel, and Fede Alvarez and the cast and crew were up there talking about it, and he said one thing that kind of tickled me. First of all, I'm super excited for this movie, and you will get a review for that movie on the date of release. I'm determined to see this opening day and get my thoughts out there for you. But when asked what his favorite Alien movie was, or to rank them, he said, well, without question, and I think we can all agree, Alien is the best Alien movie. And I firmly disagree. I don't think, by any means, that first Alien movie is the best. It's the most original in the sense it developed this amazing biological creature that seems authentic and terrifying and real, and I love it, but at the same time, it is kind of just the most standard grade B slasher film that's out there. It's just Halloween in space, but not as clever, and that's pretty disappointing. Like, everything leading up to the chestburster scene is phenomenal, including the chestburster scene. But once that chest has been burst, it's not very good. It's just a very by-the-number, like, cat-and-mouse slasher film until it's Ripley and the alien at the end. Once it's just her and it becomes great again. But you have a 40-minute section in the middle of this movie that's just kind of meh. So I take umbrage with the ownership that this is clearly the best one, is the first one. I disagree. I think Aliens is clearly the best of the movie because it's consistently good all the way across. Yes, it basically borrows the same formula from Alien and just adds more characters and more aliens. That's fine. It does it better. It just full stop. He also had some pleasant things to say about what he considers the worst of the Alien franchise, which is AVPR, saying that that movie has some really tight kills. I agree, the kills in that are like graphic and shocking and stuff like that, and that kind of should be, and it looks like the new Alien movie is going to feature that. But I was just curious what your ranking is. What do you think is the best and worst of this franchise? I think clearly the best film in the franchise is James Cameron's Aliens, and I think clearly the worst film in the franchise is Prometheus, far worse than either of the AVP movies. Because at least they set out and accomplished what they set out to do. They may not be good, I'm not saying they are, but Prometheus sets out to answer the question, where did we come from? And it continues asking more and 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 more questions without ever fucking taking the time to answer them. It's just pontification in the movie. I felt like I was opening a philosophy textbook and just reading the chapter headings and forcing that into the dialogue of the characters' mouths, set against like a horror backdrop in space. And like that's not very compelling because you didn't put any of your own ideas into it. You like, if you're going to philosophize, use philosophy to answer these questions. Prometheus is horseshit. That's the worst of the franchise. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and what were you most excited about from Comicon? I'd love to hear who you think should have played Doctor Doom, what you thought of what you've seen from Fantastic Four if you were lucky enough to see that. Are you excited for the 4:30 movie or Jay and Silent Bob getting a third film? Are you excited for Transformers 1? I'm shocked that I kind of am. Are you excited for the Rings of Power? Are you excited, probably not, for the new Star Trek film? Are you excited for the Batman 2, DC's new logo, or the Alien franchise? Or any of the other things they announced? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.